Welcome. There's a particular kind of tiredness that has no specific location. It doesn't announce itself with pain or ache or tightness you can name. It just sits, somewhere behind the breastbone, a low quiet weight that's been there since the middle of the afternoon and is still there now, even though the day is done, even though you're lying down, even though there is nothing left that needs doing. Your body hasn't received that message yet. That's what we're here for. I'm Zach. And what I'm going to narrate to you this evening is something that works quite differently from anything I think you may have experienced before. This is Jin Shin Jyutsu, an ancient Japanese healing art, thousands of years old, that works not with pressure and movement, but with stillness. With the simple and profound act of holding specific points along your body held with nothing more than the warmth and weight of two hands, until whatever has been closed begins to open, until whatever has been tangled finds its way back to flow, until the quiet that has been underneath everything all day finally has permission to rise. No oil tonight. No strong pressure. No working through discomfort. Just touch. Patient and still. And the slow return of something your body has been waiting for. If this session is what you needed tonight, please click subscribe. I make these regularly, every one built for exactly this moment, when the day is finished and you just need someone to lead you the rest of the way down. Click the bell too, so a new session is always there the next time you need one. Now, settle yourself. Lying on your back if you can, your arms loose along your sides, your palms open and facing upward, your feet falling gently apart. Pull the covers over you if you want them. Let your head find the pillow. Let your shoulders drop. Close your eyes. Breathe in through your nose, slowly, and let it go through your mouth. Again, in and out. One more, and as that last breath releases, let your hands uncurl, let your jaw go soft. Your body already understands what's beginning. I want to take you somewhere. You've been traveling today. Maybe not far in distance, but long enough in effort that your legs are glad to be still. And now you've arrived. You're here. A small private spa set into the hillside just above the Amalfi Coast, tucked back from the path the way only the oldest buildings manage, as though the rock simply decided to make room. The room around you is dim and warm. The walls are the original pale stone, thick and ancient, and they hold the heat of this summer day inside them still, giving it back to you now slowly. The light comes from 3 candles on the deep stone ledge above the window. Their flames completely still in the calm evening air. They carry a scent that moves toward you softly, yuzu, clean and faintly sweet, and beneath it, something deeper and warmer, hinoki wood, the scent of Japanese bathhouses and old forests and rooms that have known rest for a very long time. The window is open just a fraction. Through it comes the sound of the sea. Down below the terrace, past the dark olive trees on the slope, the water moves against the rocks in that slow patient rhythm it has always had. In and back. In and back. You don't have to follow it. It will follow you. The table beneath you is padded and warm. You are completely supported. Every part of you held. Jin Shin Jyutsu comes from Japan, from a lineage so old it was passed through touch and silence before it was ever written down. It understands the body as a system of pathways through which life energy flows, and that certain points along those pathways can become closed under the weight of daily life. When they close, we feel it as tension, as that specific ache of a tired place, as the kind of exhaustion that sleep sometimes passes right over without touching. Tonight, I'm going to open them. One at a time, working from your hands through your head, your chest, your back, all the way down to your feet. With nothing more than the warmth of my hands held still against your body. And with each point that opens, you'll settle a little further into this table, a little heavier, a little more gone from the day. We begin with the fingers. Because the fingers hold the attitudes of the mind. And the attitudes of the mind are exactly what keeps us awake when everything else has stopped. Let the candlelight settle soft and warm behind your closed eyes. Let the sound of the water below find its rhythm in your breathing. We begin. I take your right hand in mine. Very gently, lifting it from where it rests at your side and cradling it in both of my hands for a moment before I do anything at all. You don't need to hold it or support it. Just let every small muscle in your hand go completely loose. Let your fingers curl naturally or fall open, whichever they want. I have the weight of it. In Jin Shin Jyutsu, we begin with the fingers. Each one of the 5 fingers is associated with one of the deep attitudes of the mind. These are the emotional patterns that the nervous system runs almost automatically, the ones sitting underneath everything else, quietly keeping the body in a state of readiness, of tension, of not quite being able to set down the day. The thumb holds worry. Take a moment with that. Worry doesn't always announce itself as worry. Often it just sounds like thinking, or planning, or running through the list one more time, just to be sure. Your body doesn't distinguish between a real problem and a worried thought about one. It responds to both the same way, with a tightening, a gentle but persistent closing in. The thumb connects to the pathways that move through the stomach and spleen, the organs of digestion and processing, not just of food, but of experience. When worry has been running long enough, these pathways become congested, and we feel it as that unsettled feeling that follows you into bed, the restlessness that makes it difficult to land. I wrap both my hands around your thumb now, very gently. My fingers close around it from all sides. Not pressing, not pulling, just holding, with an even, steady warmth. And we wait. This is the essential gesture of Jin Shin Jyutsu. Holding and waiting. It sounds simple, and it is, but what moves underneath that simplicity is real. Your body begins to recognize the contact, the warmth, the stillness, and something in the pathway of the thumb begins to shift. You might feel it as a gentle pulsing under my fingertips, very subtle, slowly finding a rhythm and settling. Or you might feel warmth spreading from your thumb into your palm. Or you might simply feel your breath going a little deeper, a softening you couldn't have named before now. Any of that is right. All of it is right. Breathe in, through your nose, and out through your mouth. With every exhale, let a little of the worry go. You don't have to find it and name it and decide to release it, just breathe out, and let my hands do the holding while your body remembers that there's nothing here that needs managing. The sea below the window moves in its rhythm. In and back. In and back. It has been moving that way since before any of this existed. You don't need to keep watch over anything tonight. I stay here, both hands wrapped around your thumb, completely still, until the pulse beneath my fingers has slowed to something quiet and even. Then, very gradually, I open my hands and lay yours back down beside you, gently, as though it's something that has earned its rest. A moment of stillness. And then I move to the next finger. The index finger holds fear. Not necessarily the dramatic kind, though that too. More often it holds the quieter version that most people carry through their days without quite recognizing it as fear. The constant background monitoring, the scanning for what might go wrong, the inability to fully settle because some part of you is still on watch, still checking. Think about how much of your day is spent in that state. Not in crisis, just alert. A low-level readiness that feels so ordinary you've stopped noticing it's there. Your nervous system was built around this response. It's one of the oldest things in you, and it does its job very faithfully, even when there's nothing to be ready for. The index finger's pathways run through the kidneys and the bladder. In Jin Shin Jyutsu, the kidneys are understood as the root of all vitality in the body, the deepest source of life energy. When fear has been running long, this source becomes depleted, and we feel it as that bone-level tiredness that coffee doesn't reach, the kind that's been underneath everything for longer than just this week. I take your index finger now, between my thumb and forefinger, holding it from the base. My other hand cups gently beneath it for support. Not pressing, not stretching, just a complete and steady warmth from all sides. And we wait. Feel that contact. The specific warmth of two hands holding one finger. The way the heat builds gradually between us, not mine transferring to you, more like something finding its own temperature between two surfaces that have come to rest together. Breathe in, and let your belly rise with it. Let the breath be full, all the way down. Breathe out, and with it, let the watching go, just for this breath. You don't have to monitor anything in this room tonight. The candles are still. The sea is steady below the window. There is nothing here that requires your attention, just the warmth of my hands and the slow quiet work of this pathway opening. The pulse in the index finger is often quick at first, a slight flutter, reflecting all that background alertness. I hold patiently without trying to change anything, and gradually, it settles. The flutter becomes a beat. The beat becomes something slower, something that belongs to the rhythm of the sea coming through the window. In and back. When the pulse under my fingertips has found that quiet, I open my hands and set yours back down, very gently. Breathe. And the next finger. The middle finger holds anger. Or more precisely, the accumulated friction of a day that didn't quite go the way you needed it to. Things mishandled. Conversations that landed wrong. The particular restraint of holding yourself composed when what you were actually feeling was something louder and less patient. That restraint is not nothing. It's work. Real and continuous physical work. The muscles of the jaw and throat and chest all participate in it. And it collects here, in the middle finger's pathway through the liver and the gallbladder. Take a moment with that before we begin. Think about how many times today you chose the measured response over the real one. Not because you were wrong to, just because that's how we move through the world. We contain ourselves, we adapt ourselves, and what we contain goes somewhere. It doesn't dissolve just because we didn't express it. It sits in the pathway, in the liver's long slow work of processing everything the day handed it. The liver, in Jin Shin Jyutsu, is the organ of processing and transformation. Not just of what we eat, but of what we experience. When we've been suppressing or containing strong feeling for too long, the liver's pathway becomes congested, and we feel it in ways we might not attribute to it. The low-grade irritability that makes small things feel suddenly enormous. The heat that rises for no clear reason late in the afternoon. The tiredness that feels more like a pressing than an emptying. I take the middle finger in both my hands now, one palm below and one above, warm, completely still, enclosing it from all sides. Feel that contact. Something that has been doing quiet and effortful work all day is now simply held. Not asked to do anything. Not asked to manage anything, just enclosed in warmth and stillness. Breathe in, fully, let the ribcage expand. And breathe out, slowly, all the way, letting the breath carry what it can carry, the friction, the held-back things, the small daily frustrations that collect without you noticing until you lie down and there they all are. Let the exhale take them. You don't have to understand them or resolve them or know what they were about, just breathe out, and trust the pathway to do the rest. The pulse in the middle finger often has a quality that's different from the others. There's a liveliness to it, a slight impatience even in complete stillness. That's the liver pathway telling you something about its workload. I hold without rushing, without trying to change it, just holding, and I wait for the shift, which always comes. The liveliness gradually settles, the pulse finds a slower beat, the heat between my palms and your finger changes quality, becomes something less active, more resting. In and back. The sea below the window is still and steady. I open my hands and lay yours gently back down. One more breath here, before the next finger. The ring finger holds grief. Not only the grief of great loss, though that too, but also the quieter, more daily grief that rarely gets called grief at all. The sadness of a day that didn't add up to what you needed it to. The small disappointments. The particular loneliness of feeling slightly out of step with the world around you. The slow grief of time, of another day that passed before you reached the things that actually mattered. These aren't dramatic sorrows, but they accumulate, and the body holds them. The ring finger's pathways run through the lungs and the large intestine. And if you think about where grief lives in the body, you probably already know. It lives in the chest, in the breath. Grief tightens the throat. Grief shortens the inhale. It sits in the lungs like something swallowed that didn't quite go down. The chest of someone carrying quiet sadness has a slightly different quality to it, slightly raised, slightly guarded, slightly less open than it could be. Tonight we open it. I take your ring finger between my hands now, both palms wrapping around it gently, top and below, a complete and warm enclosure. And I want you to take a breath, a real one. Let your chest rise as high as it wants to go. Let your ribs expand outward. Let your belly fill. Don't manage the size of it, just breathe in, fully, and then let it go. Completely. All the way to the end of the exhale. Don't stop it when it starts to feel like it's run out. Let it keep going a little further, until there's nothing left, until the lungs are quiet and empty for just a moment before the next breath begins on its own. In that moment of emptiness, something releases. The lungs know how to do this. They know how to let go in a way that the mind sometimes doesn't. Let them do it. I hold the ring finger, both hands still and warm, and I feel the breath moving in your body. I feel the chest rise and the belly lift and then the long release. And with each full exhale, the pathway of the lungs opens a little wider. The grief that's been sitting there, compressed into the tissue, begins to have some room. You don't have to name it. You don't have to understand what it is. Grief doesn't require a reason, just space, and patience, and the knowledge that it's being held. The candles on the stone ledge are very still. The scent of hinoki drifts across the room in the faintest trace. Breathe in. Let the chest be wide. Breathe out. Let it go. I hold the ring finger until the breath in your chest has deepened and slowed to something low and open, until the lungs have taken several full cycles, and the pathway between them feels clear and easy. Then I open my hands, and set yours back down. One moment of stillness, feeling the openness in your chest before we continue. The little finger holds pretence. This one takes a moment, because pretence doesn't sound like something we do to ourselves. But think of it this way, pretense is the attitude of trying too hard, of performing, of holding yourself in the shape that the day requires, saying fine when you mean something more complicated, staying composed when you're tired to your bones, being okay at the level everyone can see while something quieter and smaller waits underneath. We do this all day, every day, because we have to, because that's how we move through the world we actually live in. But it is work. Real and continuous work. The body performs this every bit as much as the mind does. The little finger's pathways run through the heart and the small intestine. In Jin Shin Jyutsu, the heart is understood as the seat of true joy, and of the deepest truth of who we are. When we perform rather than rest, when we maintain a version of ourselves rather than simply being, the heart's pathway closes a little. And a heart pathway that's been closing all day explains a particular kind of tiredness, a flatness, a heaviness in the chest that doesn't quite belong to muscle or bone but sits somewhere slightly underneath them. I take the little finger now, the smallest one, the one that's been holding all of this quietly. Both my hands wrap around it, completely, with the same warmth and stillness I've brought to every finger before it. Just this. Nothing to be in this room except exactly what you are right now. Lying in a warm room above the sea, covered and still, with nothing to perform for and nobody to be okay for. Not me. I already know. The candles know. The stone walls know. Only rest is required here. Breathe in, and let the chest open, really open, not the controlled, composed opening, but the full one. Breathe out, and let the pretense go with it, all of it, the trying, the managing, the shape you've been holding since this morning. Let it go the way a held breath goes when you finally stop holding it. I hold the little finger until the pulse beneath my hands is soft and slow and the chest beneath it has opened another degree. Then I open my hands and set yours down very gently. Now your left hand. I lift it carefully from your side and cradle it in both of mine, and I work through each finger the same way. The thumb, the index finger, the middle, the ring, the little. Exactly the same patience, the same stillness, the same slow opening of each pathway in turn. Your left hand responds exactly as the right did. A gradual warming. A pulse that finds its rhythm. A breath that deepens without you asking it to. By the time I set your left hand back down, both hands are warm from palm to fingertip, and the attitudes they were holding, the worry and the fear and the friction and the grief and the pretense of the day, have all been gently received by something that knows what to do with them. Your hands are open now. Soft. Completely at rest. I move to the head. My hands move now to your head. In Jin Shin Jyutsu, the head holds 2 points that are among the most deeply calming in the entire system. Safety Energy Lock 20 sits at the forehead, and Safety Energy Lock 4 sits at the base of your skull, just where the bone curves down toward the neck. Working these two together creates a circuit, a pathway of energy that runs from front to back through the whole head, and when this circuit flows freely, it carries with it a quieting of the mind that you cannot produce through effort. You can't think your way into this kind of quiet. But you can be held into it. I slide one hand gently beneath your head now, cupping the base of your skull with my palm, your head resting in it completely, the weight of it held from below. And I lay my other hand very lightly on your forehead, just resting there, no pressure, just contact, just warmth. And now I'm still. Feel that. 2 warm points of contact, one at the back of your head and one at your forehead, as though your head is being enclosed in warmth from both sides at once. Take a breath in. And breathe it all the way out. The mind, when it's held like this, begins to do something interesting. It slows. Not because you've decided it should, not because you're trying to stop thinking, just because the body is receiving something from outside it that it doesn't have to produce for itself. The holding is doing the work. Your head can simply be heavy, and warm, and held. You might notice the quality of your thoughts beginning to change. They become less formed, less sequential, more like passing things than things you're engaged with, like traffic heard from very far away rather than traffic you're in. That distance from your own thoughts is the beginning of something. It's the mind starting to understand that sleep is possible. Breathe in and out. Safety Energy Lock 20 at the forehead governs the flow of life energy through the whole head and downward into the body. Safety Energy Lock 4 at the base of the skull releases the neck and the head from each other, allows the weight of everything you've been carrying in your mind to settle back down into the body and be supported there, rather than held up by muscle and tension. I feel the warmth building between my palms and your head. I feel the slight give in the tissue at the base of your skull as the point opens. Breathe out. Let your head be completely heavy in my hands, heavier than you thought it could be. There's nothing it needs to hold itself up for right now. The sea is below the window, patient and dark and steady. The thoughts that were passing through your mind a few moments ago are already further away. You can still hear them, but you're not quite in them anymore. I stay here, one hand at your forehead and one cradling the back of your skull, completely still, until the warmth between us is even and settled and the weight of your head in my hand is the deep, complete weight of something that has finally let go. From the head now to the face. Safety energy lock 21 sits just beneath the eye, on the cheekbone, on each side. This is one of the most quietly powerful points in the system. It sits directly beneath the area that holds so much of the day's expression, the eyes that have been looking at screens and reading faces and narrowing against fatigue, the cheeks that have been holding the posture of composure, the small muscles around the eyes and brow that have been in almost constant micro-movement since morning. When this point is held, people often feel a softening around the eye that they didn't know was still there. A small release, like a muscle you forgot was holding, finally getting permission to stop. I bring my fingertips to your cheekbones now, one on each side, just below the orbit of the eye, very light contact, barely any pressure at all, just the warmth of the pads of my fingers resting there. And I stay still. Feel that contact, the specific warmth of fingers placed very gently just beneath your eyes. This is a delicate area, a vulnerable one, and I work here with the lightest possible touch. The point doesn't need pressure to open, it needs patience, and presence, and the steady unhurried warmth of hands that are only here for you. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, let the area around your eyes completely release. The lids, let them be fully closed and fully heavy. The brow above them, let it be smooth. The tiny muscles at the inner corners of the eyes, let them go. You've been using those muscles all day in ways you haven't thought about, squinting, focusing, expressing. Let them have their rest now. This point is sometimes called the point of peace. Not because it is peace exactly, but because when it opens, the quality of whatever is happening for a person shifts towards something quieter. Something less reactive. The world is still the world, but there's a little more space between you and it. A little more room to simply be still. I hold these points and I feel the warmth gather beneath my fingertips. There's a particular stillness that happens around the eyes when someone is almost asleep. The tiny movements cease. The eyelids go completely still and heavy rather than the slight restless flickering of someone who is awake and trying not to be. I'm watching for that stillness. Breathe in, slowly. And out, all the way to the end. Between my fingertips and your cheekbones, something settles. The pathway opens. And the face that has spent all day being the face of someone who is handling things, is just a face now. Completely quiet. Completely smooth. Completely free of the work of expression. I hold for a long moment. Then I let my fingertips rest there one moment more, just a last breath's worth, before I lift them so gently that you might not notice exactly when the contact ends. Now to the chest. Safety energy lock 13 sits just beneath the collarbone, on each side, in the soft area where the collarbone meets the shoulder. And safety energy lock 22 sits along the collarbone itself. These 2 points together govern the pathways that move through the chest, the heart and the lungs, and they are the points of transformation, of turning one thing into another, of receiving and releasing. The chest holds the things that are too large to fully process during the day. The emotions that don't quite fit into the spaces the day allows. The breath that hasn't been full since some time before lunch because there hasn't been space for one. The heart that has been working not just physically, but emotionally, navigating everything the day contained. I lay my hands now on your chest, both of them, one just beneath each collarbone, very gently. The contact is light, just the warmth of my palms against the skin and the gentle weight of my hands resting there, no pressure into the ribcage, just presence. Feel that contact. Two warm hands resting on your chest, just below your collarbones, on the points that hold the gateway to the heart and lungs. Breathe in, and let the chest rise fully under my hands. Let my hands be lifted by your breath. Let the ribcage expand as far as it wants to go. There's room for a real breath, a full one, take it. And breathe out. Let it go slowly, all the way, until the chest has settled and my hands have come back to rest. This is the cycle, your breath lifting my hands and returning them. In and out, again and again, and each time the chest comes back down, it comes to a slightly lower, slightly more open position than before. The ribcage releasing its guard. The sternum softening. The heart behind it no longer quite so enclosed. Safety Energy Lock 13 is associated with love and compassion, the pathway through the heart that connects us to warmth and care. When this point opens, people often feel a spreading sensation in the chest, a warmth that moves outward from the sternum toward the shoulders, like something thawing, something that has been held tight for a long time opening to whatever temperature the room is. Let your chest be warm. Let it be wide. Breathe in. Let my hands be lifted. Breathe out. Let everything in the chest settle. The sea below the window is in its rhythm. In and back. Your breath is finding that same rhythm without you having to ask it. I hold Safety Energy Lock 13 on both sides, very still, and I wait for the quality of the chest to change. The ribcage going from a held shape to a received one. The breath going from managed to something more effortless. Something more like the breathing of sleep. The candlelight is amber and soft above the stone ledge. I stay until the chest beneath my hands has opened to something much larger than what I found when I arrived here. My hands move to your neck and shoulders. Safety Energy Lock 11 sits just at the back of the neck on each side, at the base of the skull where the neck meets the bone. And Safety Energy Lock 12 sits at the very top of the shoulder, at the point where the neck curves down to meet the trapezius. These 2 points are where the day's pressure goes to live. Everything collects here. The weight of concentration. The physical cost of looking at a screen with your neck slightly forward. The tightening that happens during difficult conversations. The way the shoulders rise throughout the day and never quite come all the way back down. By this point in the evening, if I rest my hands on your shoulders right now, I can already feel the difference from the fingers. The tissue here is denser, more formed, the tension has had time to settle in. I slide both hands beneath your shoulders now. My palms resting flat against the top of the trapezius just where the muscle meets the neck, one hand on each side. I let my hands rest there without pressing into anything. And I hold. This is the Jin Shin Jyutsu way of working the shoulders. Not pressing the tension out, but holding the points at which the energy pathway enters the area, and waiting for that pathway to open. When it opens, the tension releases from inside. It doesn't need to be pushed. It needs to be given the conditions to release on its own, and those conditions are warmth, and stillness, and time. Feel the warmth of my hands against the top of your shoulders, the specific contact of two palms resting just where the neck becomes the shoulder. There might be a tenderness here, a slight awareness of how much has been held in this area. That's fine, just breathe. Breathe in, and let your shoulders try to rise with it, and then as you breathe out, let them fall, further than they went before, further than they've gone all day. Let them drop everything they've been carrying back into the table. Safety Energy Lock 11 is sometimes called the point of release from the past. Not because the past disappears, but because when this point opens, the hold that history has on the body's tension, all the accumulated tightenings and bracings that experience has put into this area, begins to loosen. The shoulder lets down its guard. And the neck, above it, elongates just slightly as the muscle along it softens. I feel the tissue under my hands, and I wait for the quality of it to change, which it does, slowly, the density shifting, the muscle going from something that resists to something that receives. The warmth from my palm sinking down through the layers. Your breathing is slower than when we began. I hold, completely still, for as long as the tissue needs. Then I lift my hands, gently, and let your shoulders rest exactly where they've fallen. Moving now to the abdomen. Safety Energy Lock 14 sits on the lower rib cage, on the front of the body, just below where the ribs end on each side. This point governs the digestive pathways and the solar plexus, the great nerve center in the middle of the body that you already know is connected to how you feel. When the solar plexus is at ease, the whole body follows. When it's tight or anxious, you feel it everywhere. The belly is one of the most honest places in the body. It holds the day's emotional residue more nakedly than almost anywhere else, and most people spend enormous energy keeping it contracted, pulled in, held tight. Part of this is physical habit. Part of it is emotional, the belly tightening around things we haven't finished processing, the solar plexus maintaining the slight bracing position it's been in since whatever happened this morning that first caused it to close. I lay my hands gently on your lower ribcage now, both hands, my fingers pointing toward each other across the center of your body, resting on either side just below the ribs, very light contact, just warmth. Breathe in. And let your belly rise, not your chest this time, your belly. Let it dome upward as the breath fills the lower lungs. Let your abdomen be completely soft and unguarded. Let it be round. Let it expand in any direction it wants to go. Don't pull it in, don't manage its shape, just let it be. That's harder than it sounds for most people. The belly has been held and monitored and managed for so long that letting it go completely unguarded feels slightly strange. That strangeness is the holding becoming visible to itself. Let it go anyway. Breathe out, and let the belly sink, all the way back down, and then a little further, past where it normally settles, as though the floor of the abdomen is much lower than you usually allow it to be. Safety Energy Lock 14 governs the connection between what we take in and what we let go. In Jin Shin Jyutsu it is associated with the rhythm of life itself, the alternating of receiving and releasing that runs through every breath, through every heartbeat. When this point is open, that rhythm feels natural and easy. When it's closed, we feel it as a difficulty letting go, a sense that relaxation is something we have to work for. My hands rest on your lower rib cage, completely still, just warmth and weight and patience. Breathe in. Let the belly be wide and round and free. Breathe out. Let it sink. Over and over, breath by breath, the solar plexus releasing its long guard, the abdomen going from a held place to a received one. The warmth of my hands settling down through the layers of the body from the skin inward. The room is very still. The sea is steady below the window. Your belly rises and falls, rises and falls. To the back now. If you want to turn gently onto your front, take your time. Let the movement be slow and easy. Find your position with your head to one side or on a low pillow, and let your arms rest wherever they fall naturally. If you're already between awake and asleep, stay exactly where you are. The energy of these points reaches you wherever you are. Safety Energy Lock 9 sits just below the shoulder on the upper back, and Safety Energy Lock 10 runs down the back between the shoulder blade and the waist. Together they govern the pathways that move through the whole spine, the central column through which all the body's energy pathways pass. And Safety Energy Lock 3 sits between the shoulder blades, on each side, at the place where the back first begins to accumulate the day's postural tension. The back is where the body does its structural work. The muscles here have been holding your shape all day, upright, composed, forward-facing. And they've been doing it for most of the hours since you woke, with no rest, and very little attention. I place my hands on your back now, both palms flat, warm, one on either side of the spine just below the shoulder blades. I let them rest there completely still before I begin. Feel that contact. Two warm palms resting on your back. The back rarely gets touched at all. Let that contact be fully received. Breathe in, and feel your back rise against my hands. Breathe out, and feel it sink back down. I move my right hand to Safety Energy Lock 9. Just below your right shoulder, and my left hand to Safety Energy Lock 3 between the shoulder blades, creating a circuit between the 2 points. I hold both still and warm. And I wait. The circuit between these 2 points runs through some of the most chronically held tissue in the body. The muscle along the inner edge of the shoulder blade, the long muscles alongside the spine. When this circuit opens, the release moves through them slowly like warmth moving through cold stone, gradual, unmistakable, real. You might feel a pulsing under one of my hands. You might feel a warmth that travels from one contact point toward the other. You might simply notice that your breath has gone deeper without you asking it to. I hold until something shifts. Then I move to the left side. Safety Energy Lock 9 below the left shoulder. Safety Energy Lock 3 at the left blade, the same patient circuit, the same waiting. Then both my hands on the mid-back. Safety Energy Lock 10 on each side, holding the full length of the back's energy pathway at once. Your back is softening beneath my hands. I can feel it. Layer by layer, the muscle giving up its vigilance, going from the texture of something set and shaped to the texture of something that has finally been allowed to just rest. Breathe in and out, moving down to the lower back and hips. Safety Energy Lock 2 sits at the hip, just above the rim of the hip bone on each side. Safety Energy Lock 23 sits in the lumbar region, and Safety Energy Lock 25 sits at the sit bones, the two firm points beneath the gluteal muscles that carry your weight when you sit. This is the area where the day's weight literally collects. Not as a metaphor, the lower back carries the physical load of the whole upper body for every hour of every day. And after those hours, the muscles here have a density and a holding that takes longer to release than almost anything above them. I place my hands on your lower back now, both palms, one on either side of the lumbar, warm and completely still. Feel that contact. The broad warmth of two hands on the lower back. This is often the first touch of the day that this area has received that wasn't asking it to do something. Just holding. Breathe into your lower back. Let the breath find its way all the way down, past the belly, past the solar plexus, into the very base of the lungs, and feel the lower back expand slightly against my hands with the inhale. And breathe out. Let the lower back sink. Safety Energy Lock 23 is sometimes called the point of eternal youth in Jin Shin Jyutsu. Not because it makes anyone younger, but because when this point opens, the body feels what it felt before the years of accumulated tension, a kind of lightness in the lower back that belongs to an earlier version of yourself. The muscle releasing its decades of habitual holding, if only for a while. My hands hold the lumbar region, completely still, and I wait for the tissue underneath to shift, which it does, slowly, the density softening, the breath going deeper into this area. Then I move one hand to Safety Energy Lock 2 at the right hip and keep one at the lumbar, creating the circuit between them. The hip and the lower back releasing together, the whole pelvic region beginning to open. Safety Energy Lock 25 at the sit bones. I hold here with both palms flat against the base of the pelvis. This point is directly connected to the calming of the nervous system, to the transition from alert to rest. It's one of the most deeply settling points in the whole practice, and when it's held with patience, the effect moves upward through the whole body. The spine softens. The neck loosens. The mind goes quiet. Hold your breath here for just a moment at the very top of the inhale. And then let it all the way go. The night outside the window has grown very dark and very still. The sea is moving. In and back. Your lower back and hips are warm and open under my hands. From the hips downward now, into the legs. Safety Energy Lock 1 sits on the inner knee, at the soft crease where the thigh meets the lower leg on the inside. Safety Energy Lock 8 sits on the outer knee, the mirroring point on the other side. Safety Energy Lock 15 sits high on the inner thigh, close to the groin. And Safety Energy Lock 16 is at the outer ankle. The legs are the body's great movers, and most people give them very little attention until they ache. The inner thigh carries the pathways of the kidneys and bladder and holds the body's foundational energy in a way that few other areas manage. The inner knee holds the convergence of multiple pathways, and working there often produces a warmth that rises all the way up the inside of the leg toward the pelvis. I place both hands on the inner thighs now, one on each leg, my palms resting gently against the soft tissue just above the midpoint of the thigh. Feel that contact. The inner thigh is a rarely touched place, and the gentle warmth of hands resting there without pressure or demand is felt very immediately. A warmth that spreads inward. Breathe in and out. I hold safety energy lock 15 on each side until the warmth between my palms and your inner thighs has deepened and settled. Then I move both hands to the inner knees, to safety energy lock 1. Placing them gently in the soft crease just inside each knee. Safety energy lock 1 is the first lock for a reason. In Jin Shin Jyutsu it's understood as the point from which all the body's major energy pathways originate or pass through. When this point is open, the whole system benefits. It's sometimes called the reset point, the place where the body remembers its own capacity to regenerate. I hold both inner knees, very still, and I wait for the pulse to come up under my fingers, which it does, a gentle, specific throb, and I hold until it slows to something quiet and steady. Then to the outer knees. Safety energy lock 8. Both hands shifting to the outer side of each knee, holding the outer pathway of the legs. The circuit from inner to outer balancing the energy around the knee joints. And then to the outer ankles. Safety energy lock 16. Both hands resting around each ankle in turn, one at a time, the warmth wrapping around the joint from all sides. By this point your legs are heavy, really heavy, the good heavy of tissue that has been held and released. The kind of heavy that belongs to sleep. Breathe in and out. Your legs are completely still. The feet. Safety energy lock 5 sits on the inner ankle, just above the ankle bone on the inside of the foot. Safety energy lock 6 sits at the outer heel. Safety energy lock 7 is at the outer edge of the foot just below the little toe. And safety energy lock 24 runs along the outer border of the foot from the little toe to the heel. The feet are where everything that runs through the body finally arrives. Every energy pathway that has descended from the head, through the chest and abdomen, down the legs, completes its circuit here at the feet. And the feet carry you, all day, absorbing every step, compressed into shoes, pushed against pedals, bearing your full weight for every standing moment of the day. And almost nobody ever simply holds them. I take your right foot in both my hands, lifting it very gently and cradling it for a moment before I begin. Just holding it, both palms warm against the sole and the top. Feel that. The simple weight of your foot being held by something that isn't the floor, that isn't a shoe, just two warm and patient hands. I bring one hand to safety energy lock 5. The inner ankle, my palm resting against the bone and the soft tissue around it, and my other hand to safety energy lock 6 at the outer heel, holding both points at once, creating the circuit between inner and outer at the ankle. And I wait. The feet are often the warmest part of this practice. The energy moves here quickly once the pathways above it have opened, and it often arrives at the feet as a spreading warmth, as a tingling that moves from the ankle into the sole, as a heaviness that is deeper and more complete than anything above it. Breathe in, and feel the warmth in your right foot. Breathe out, and let it spread. I move to safety energy lock 7. At the outer edge of the foot just below the little toe, my finger resting there gently, just a presence. And then my whole palm comes to rest against the sole. both hands wrapping the whole foot, the entire structure of it held in warmth from all sides. And I hold it there. The left foot now. The same sequence. Inner ankle, outer heel, the circuit between them. Safety energy lock 7 at the outer edge, the broad palm against the sole. Both feet held at last, my palms against both soles, the bottom of you and the warmth of my hands. All the pathways that have been opened tonight, from the fingers through the head, through the chest, through the back, through the hips and legs, have arrived here, at the soles of your feet. Complete. You are, from the top of your head to the soles of your feet under my hands, entirely held. I lift my hands from your feet, very gently. And I step back. From the top of your head to the soles of your feet, everything has been visited. Every pathway has been held, every point along the route from head to foot has been given warmth and patience and time. The fingers with their attitudes, the head and face and the quiet they found, the neck and shoulders and the release that moved through them, the chest that opened, the abdomen that let go, the back that surrendered its long structural holding, the lower back and hips releasing the weight of the day, the legs and knees and the pathways that run through them, and finally the feet, the last point of everything, held and warm and still. There is nothing in your body right now that hasn't been touched. Nothing that hasn't been given permission to rest. The room is exactly as it was. The candles on the stone ledge are still burning, lower now than when we began, but steady and warm. The sea is still moving below the window. In and back. In and back. It has kept that rhythm through everything we've done, and it will keep it through everything that follows. Your breathing is different from when we started. Lower, slower, coming from a deeper place. The breath of someone who has been received rather than the breath of someone who is managing. Your body is heavy in a way that's different from the tiredness you felt when you arrived. That was the heavy of tension, of things held for too long. This is something else. This is the heavy of release, of pathways open and energy flowing and a nervous system that has finally received the signal it was waiting for, the one that says, you can stop now, everything that needed holding has been held, everything that needed opening has been opened, and now you can simply be still. Notice what has happened to the day. It was here when we began. The texture of it, the weight of it, that morning meeting, the afternoon that went slightly wrong, the friction you swallowed, the grief you didn't name, the worry you carried into the evening without knowing what to do with it. And now? It's still somewhere. I'm not telling you it's gone. But it's no longer in the tissue the way it was. The body has released its hold on it, and without the body's hold, it has much less hold on you. Rest here for a moment, just in the warmth of what has been done. Before I come back and we go through it all again, slower this time, quieter, deeper into sleep. The sea is moving below the window. The candles are low and warm and still. You are in a room above the Amalfi Coast, completely held, completely warm, completely released. Rest? You're still here. Maybe barely. Maybe the second half of you is already somewhere else, somewhere warmer and darker than any room. That's fine. I'm still here too. My hands haven't gone anywhere. The room is exactly as it was. The candles have burned lower, but they are still there. The sea is still making the same sound it's been making through all of this. We go through it again. From the beginning. Slower this time, and quieter. The first pass was about opening. This one is about deepening. Your body has already been through everything once. It knows the sequence now. And knowing what's coming means it can release even before my hands arrive. You'll feel the warmth before the contact begins. You'll feel the pathway opening before I've had time to settle into the hold. This is how the body works when it's close to sleep. It begins to receive things even before they've fully arrived. The boundary between what's happening and what's anticipated becomes very thin. Let that be true. Don't try to stay with me. Don't try to track what I'm doing or follow where we are in the sequence. If you lose the thread, you've gone further than the thread, and that's the point. If you can still hear this, let it be like the sound of the sea. Not something you're listening to. Just something that's there, underneath everything, carrying you rather than informing you. I take your right hand in mine again. It's heavier now than it was the first time through. That's the weight of real relaxation, real and complete. I can feel it in the way your hand lies in mine. There's no readiness in it. No slight tendency to grip or respond. It's just there, completely given over, the hand of someone who is letting go of the day. Breathe in, very slowly, through your nose. And out, all the way to the end. The room is warm. The stone walls are giving back the day's heat slowly and without asking anything for it. The scent of the hinoki is still faintly there. And below the window the water is moving in its rhythm. In and back. Just let that sound be the last thing you're aware of outside yourself. Everything else can go. Let the warmth of my hands be the last thing you're aware of in yourself. And let even that, slowly, slowly, become something you don't need to be aware of at all. Both thumbs, both index fingers, both middle fingers, both ring fingers, both little fingers. I move through all of them now, not taking the time I took before, not explaining the pathways and the attitudes, just holding, very slowly, one after another, giving each one the warmth and stillness it learned to recognize the first time through. The worry is gone from your thumb. I can feel it. The pulse there is slow, uneven and barely there. Something that was tight and monitoring has become something loose and trusting. I hold it in both my hands for a long, slow moment. And release. The index finger. I take it between my palms and I hold it there. The fear that was in this pathway before has settled. The scanning has stopped. I can feel the difference in the quality of the pulse. It used to flutter. Now it beats once, and rests, and beats again, slowly. Hold. And release. The middle finger. The liveliness that was in this pathway before is quieter now. The pulse more patient. The friction of the day already further from the body than it was. Hold, and release. The ring finger. I curl both hands around it and hold it with the same gentle warmth as before. But this time the lungs are already more open than they were. The chest has already taken several deep cycles of breath since we were last here. The grief in this pathway is lighter. The breath fuller. Hold. And release. The little finger. The heart's pathway. The pretense is long gone. There's nothing you're performing right now. There's nothing you're maintaining. You're just here, in whatever degree of here you're still in. And that's exactly what the little finger needed all along, permission to not try so hard. I hold the little finger for a long time. Longer than the others. And when I release it, I hold your hand in mine for just a moment, the whole hand, both of mine wrapped around yours, a brief, complete warmth, before I lay it gently back down. Your left hand now, the same way, moving through each finger slowly, the same warmth, the same patience, the same quiet recognition of each pathway as it passes through my hands. By the time both hands are back at your sides, the attitudes of the mind have settled to almost nothing. Worry and fear and friction and grief and pretense, all of them held twice now, all of them quieter than they were. Your hands are open, warm, completely still. My hands come back to your head. One palm beneath the base of your skull, one resting very lightly on your forehead, the same circuit as before. Safety energy lock 4 at the back and safety energy lock 20 at the front. Your head is heavier this time. Much heavier. I can feel it in the way it rests in my palm. There's a complete surrender to it. The neck has already given up what it was holding. The head has let go of the effort of thinking. What's left in my hand is just weight, warm and substantial and completely given over. Breathe in, very slowly. And out. I hold the circuit between my hands and I feel the warmth building between them. The pathway running through the whole of your head, front to back, clear and open and flowing. The thoughts, if there are any left, are very far away now. Not things you're in, things that drift past at a distance, like clouds seen from a very still and comfortable place. I hold here for a long time this second pass. Longer than before, because the head is ready in a way it wasn't the first time, ready to be completely still, ready to let the circuit do its work without any resistance at all. The sea is below the window. In and back. In and back. When I move from the head to the face, my fingertips come to your cheekbones so softly you might not notice the transition, just warmth, continuing from one point to the next. Your face is completely smooth now. Every small muscle of expression has long since stopped working. The brow is flat. The area around your eyes is soft and still. The jaw is slightly open, the lips parted just a little, the face of someone who is done. I rest my fingertips at the cheekbones and I don't move them. Just the warmth. Just the stillness. Just the patient presence of two fingertips at the point below your eyes, where the day's expression used to live, and where now there's only quiet. Breathe in and out. And now the neck, both hands along either side of it, the long muscle completely slack under my palms, the base of the skull meeting my fingers with no resistance at all. I draw my hands very slowly from the skull down to the collarbones, just warmth, traveling down the full length of the neck, again and again, slower each time. Your neck is long and loose. Your head is heavy on the pillow. Nothing holding anything up. The candlelight is amber and low above the stone ledge. From the neck to the chest now, my hands coming to rest just below your collarbones, the same points as before. Safety energy lock 13 on each side, warm and completely still. Your chest is different from the first time I was here. The rib cage is lower, more open. The sternum has dropped. The space between your shoulders is wider than it was when we started. All of that happened not because I forced it, but because the body knew what to do once the pathway was open. I rest my hands here and I feel the breath moving through you. It's slow, so slow, the chest rising barely perceptibly and then falling again. The breath of someone who is almost entirely asleep. I don't try to change it. I just hold the points and let the breath be exactly what it is. In and out. Safety energy lock 13. The point of transformation, the point where the heart receives and gives. In this room above the Amalfi Coast, late in the evening, with the candles burning low, what you're receiving right now is rest. And what you're releasing with every exhale is the last of whatever the day held. I hold the chest until the breath beneath my hands has settled to something barely there. Then to the shoulders, both palms resting on the collarbones one more time, finding the top of the trapezius on each side. I can feel the difference from the first time through. The muscle that was a ridge of tension before is now something flatter, softer, more like the rest of you. My hands rest here for a long, slow moment. And then to the abdomen. Both palms on the lower rib cage, the belly rising softly with each slow inhale and sinking back with the exhale, completely unguarded, completely round and soft and free. This is the belly of someone who is asleep. The quality of this rising and falling is different from the managed breath of a person who is awake and monitoring themselves. This is the breath of a body that has handed the management over. My palms rest on your lower rib cage and I hold safety energy lock 14. Very still. The warmth builds between us. The solar plexus beneath my hands is completely open. There's no bracing here, no held tightness, just the slow and patient rhythm of a body that has remembered how to receive. In and out. In and out. The sea below the window is steady and dark and patient. If you've stayed on your back, the back section reaches you where you are. The energy of these points doesn't require you to move. Both hands on either side of the spine, my palms warm and flat against the broad expanse of your back. Safety energy lock 3 between the shoulder blades. Safety energy lock 9 just below the shoulder. The tissue under my hands has changed completely from the first pass. Where there was density and holding, there is now something softer. The muscle has given up its shape. The back is flat and open against the table, not holding a position, not maintaining anything, just down. I hold the upper back with one hand and the mid-back with the other, the circuit of safety energy lock 9 and safety energy lock 10. And I feel the energy pathway running through the full length of the spine, clear and open. Your breathing moves through your back when you're lying on it. I can feel it, the slight rise and fall of the spine with each breath, very small, very slow, the breath of someone who is deep in rest. I hold each circuit for a long time this pass, longer than before. There's no hurry. The room is not going anywhere. The sea is not going anywhere. Your sleep is not going anywhere. There's only the warmth of my hands and the pathway of your back and all the time in the world. Between the shoulder blades. Safety energy lock 3. I rest my palm here for a moment, just one palm, flat against the center of the upper back, and I hold it there. There's something about the center of the back, the place between the blades, that responds to being touched with a directness that's rare. As though something there has been waiting to be acknowledged. Not pushed or worked or instructed, just held. I hold it. And the back goes a little flatter. And the breath goes a little slower. And the spine, that long central column through which everything passes, settles further into the table beneath you. Safety energy lock 10 now, down the sides of the spine at the mid-back, my hands resting on each side, feeling the warmth gather, feeling the tissue receive it. Your back is like the sea now, moving very slowly, rising and falling with each breath, steady, patient, going nowhere. The scent of hinoki from the candles is faint and still in the room. The night outside is dark and very quiet. Lower back. My hands come to the lumbar region again, both palms warm on either side of the base of the spine, completely still, for a long moment before they begin to move. I let them rest here longer than before. Long enough that you might forget I was about to do anything. Long enough that the touch stops feeling like the start of something and starts feeling like simply the warmth of someone there. The lower back is a different thing this second time through. The density is gone. The breath is reaching it now in a way it wasn't when we started. I can feel the belly expanding downward against the table with each inhale, the whole base of the body receiving the breath and releasing it again, without holding, without tightening between breaths, just receiving and releasing. Safety energy lock 25 at the sit bones, both palms resting at the base of the pelvis, warm and completely still. This point, held in stillness, has a particular effect on the nervous system, a very deep and very gentle slowing, that moves upward from the base of the spine through the whole length of it. You might feel it as a warmth that travels, as a softening that begins here and moves upward into your lower back and from there upward still. Breathe in and out. I hold the base of the pelvis for a long time. Because this is the foundation and the foundation is completely open now and what wants to come through it is sleep. Then to the legs, very gently, both hands traveling down the inner thighs, not a stroke, just a passing warmth moving down from the groin toward the inner knee. Safety energy lock 1. Both inner knees. I hold them both at once, one palm on each, and I feel the pathway that runs through the whole of the lower body converging here, the central circuit, the reset point. Everything that's been open tonight, from the fingers through the head, through the chest, through the back, through the hips, all of it passes through safety energy lock 1. I hold both inner knees in silence and in stillness. Your legs are completely heavy. There's nothing left in them that's holding on. They are just weight, just warmth, just the deep and final heaviness of sleep. Breathe in, and out, and in. The feet. I take your right foot in both my hands for the last time tonight. There's a quality to the foot now that's different from earlier. It's warmer, and the warmth has a depth to it that the surface temperature before didn't have. This is the warmth of a body where the energy is flowing freely, where the pathways are open all the way from the crown of the head down to the soles of the feet. I hold safety energy lock 5 at the inner ankle, my palm cupping the inside of the ankle bone, and safety energy lock 6 at the outer heel. My hands wrap the ankle from both sides, creating the circuit. And I hold it there. The pulse that comes up under my hands at the ankle is slow and deep and very even, the pulse of sleep rather than of waking. You may not know where you are right now. That's exactly where you're meant to be. Safety energy lock 7 at the outer edge of the foot, below the little toe. I hold this one with my thumb, gently, for a breath or two. And then my whole palm comes to rest against the sole. Just a palm against the sole of your foot. The whole foot enclosed in warmth from below. And I hold it there. For a long time. I hold it there. Then the left foot, the same way, the same slowness, the same warmth, the same patient presence at the inner ankle, the outer heel, the outer edge, and then the whole palm against the sole. And now I hold both feet, both palms pressed gently against both soles, the very bottom of you and the warmth of my hands. I stay here. I stay here long enough that the boundary between my warmth and your warmth dissolves, long enough that you've stopped knowing exactly where you end and the held thing begins. That dissolution is sleep. The last strokes now, barely strokes at all, more like warmth moving through a room. My hands passing from the top of your head downward, over the forehead, over the face, down the neck, across the collarbones, down the arms to the hands, down the center of the body, over the belly, down the thighs and shins to the ankles, and off the tips of your toes. Once. And again, slower. And one final time, so slowly that by the time my hands reach the feet, you'll have forgotten where they started. I step back. I don't know how much of this you can still hear. I hope very little. I hope this has become just a warmth, just a rhythm, just the sound of something happening at the very edges of a dream you're already in. Your body is as heavy as I've seen it all night. Your face is completely smooth and quiet. Your hands are open. Your chest rises, falls, rises, falls. The oil of the evening, the warmth of the points, the long slow circuit from the crown of the head to the soles of the feet. It has all settled now, into every layer, from the skin down through the tissue and into the pathways themselves, and the pathways are clear and warm and completely at rest. Outside, the sea is still moving. It will keep moving all night, long after the candles go out, long after the last of the light is gone from the room. In and back. In and back. You don't have to follow it. You don't have to follow anything. Let the sound of the water be the last thing. Let the warmth of the room be the last thing. Let the weight of your own body, heavy and soft and completely held by this table, by this still and ancient room, by the Amalfi night outside this open window, be the very last thing. The candle on the shelf has nearly gone. The room is quiet in the way that rooms are quiet when everyone in them is asleep. And so are you. This is the end of the session. If you can still hear me. I hope you're somewhere soft right now, somewhere between here and wherever the sleep is taking you. If you're already gone, then this did exactly what it was meant to do, and I'm glad. You've just received a complete Jin Shin Jyutsu session. From your fingers through your head, your face and neck and shoulders, your chest and abdomen, your back and lower back and hips, your legs and knees all the way down to your feet. Every point held twice. The first time to open. The second time to deepen. Every pathway that was closed when you arrived in this room above the Amalfi Coast has been held with patience and warmth until it opened. The worry you were carrying in your thumb, released. The fear that was running quietly through your day, settled. The friction you swallowed and the grief you didn't name and the pretense of being fine when you were just tired, all of it held, acknowledged, and let go. The 26 safety energy locks, visited one by one, opened one by one. Your nervous system has received what it needed tonight. Not an instruction to relax, not a direction, just the simple and profound experience of being held by something that had nowhere else to be. Sleep well tonight. Stay exactly where you are. Let the warmth carry you through the rest of the night. If this session helped you sleep, please subscribe to the channel. There's a library of sessions here. A deep tissue massage for when the week has been very long. A Swedish massage for the evenings when you need something flowing and gentle. A hot stone session for when warmth is the only thing that will do. A scalp massage for when your head needs to be the only thing that matters. I add new ones regularly and each one is made with the same care as this one. Click the bell so one is always waiting when you need it. And if there's a type of massage you'd like me to make, please leave it in the comments. I read every one. Buona Notte. Sleep deeply. Let the sea below the window carry you the rest of the way. I'll be here when you need me again.